Now let's look at how we can use the calculator to help us out. Here we have a problem that says this data represents body length in centimeters and mass in kilograms of several African golden cats. Okay, so call it a lion. Here's their length, here's their mass. It says create a scatter plot for the data. I'm going to show you how to do this. What you'll do is you'll pull open your calculator and you'll go to Lists and Spreadsheets. Here's where we'll type this in. Now the key here is you need to first, once you open up List of Spreadsheets, type in an X up there and a Y in the next column. You just have to tell the calculator which ones are your X's, which are your Y's, and then you'd come through and fill in your values. So I have 272 links followed by, I'm just going to go all of these as X's. These here are my X's, and this is an extension of this list. So these are X's, these are Y's, and these are some more Y's. Now I'm going to pause the video and type in all these values. So just so you know what I'm doing, you can see I'm typing in the values here. I'm going to start here after 72 and type in 73, and then 74, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to come back with the Y values and type these in: 11, 12, 13, 15, and so on. So I'm going to pause the video now and enter them all in. Okay, now I have it all typed in. Now we're supposed to do a scatter plot of this data. So now that I have it typed in, what I'm going to do is I hit Control Doc. When I hit Control here, Control Doc, what happens is I can now go to Data and Statistics, and this is where I can create a scatter plot. I need to go to the X-axis and tell that is the X values from the scatter plot. That's what that X refers to. And that's how, see how it populated with all these X values that were on that list. And then I go over here and I click Y, and then we'll give me a scatter plot. Now I'm going to take a quick picture and go back over to our problem. All right, so here's a scatter plot that it tells me to create. Now let's look at part B. What does part B ask us to find? It says, determine a power function to model the data. Describe its end behavior. So again, I want to pull down the picture. So there's the picture, and we got to get a power function. It looks like it's going to be a type, kind of like a square root or some type of root that's less than the power of 1. It looks like it's curving downward to me. So let's look at our calculator and see what it tells us. When I come over here, what I'm going to do is I press Menu, and I can go to Analyze, and I can choose Regression. It told me to choose a power regression. So I'm going to look for power, which is 7, show power, and it gives me this regression. I'm going to move it down here. That's the regression that the calculator gives me. So now let me pull this back over. And so now I've determined the power function there. I could rewrite this as y equals, and I'm going to round to the, let's do nearest, I don't know, 10,000. So we'll say 0, 1, 7, and 7. We'll do that. Times x to the power of 1.53. Let's see, we had 4 places, so 7, 6. That will be our equation. And now it also asks us to describe its end behavior. So this, it looks like it would go on forever to the left, but we're not really concerned about that because this is talking about mass and length, and that would not exist in the real world. So I'm only going to find the limit of this equation as x approaches positive infinity. So as we go to the right, this thing would continue going upward, so the answer would be positive infinity here. Now, it says, use this data to predict the mass of an African golden cat with a length of 77 centimeters. So I want to pull down my picture again. Now let me show you the easiest way. Use the calculator to get exactly for 77. What I'll do is I'll come back over here, but instead I'm going to go over to my data from this way. If I go to this data and found the regression from here, which you can do it in either one, by going stat calculations, and do a power regression. You would type in X for your X list, Y for your Y list. The reason I do it here is because whenever I can go over to, my data should be way up at the top. I'm sorry that this scrolled down. I go up here, this gives me that same equation that we had. Now if I press Control Doc, what I can do is add a graph, and if I press up, I'll see that it's already got the equation typed in, so I don't even have to type it in. If you wanted to type in what we did, you could. So there's the picture. What we can now do is press Control T, and we can look at what's the value when it's 77 inches long. So I scroll down to 77 and find out that this predicts the mass to be 14.0760. So that would be my answer. One other way you could do it is you could press Control Dock and go to Calculator. And that's the function's F1. So you type in F1, but instead of typing X, you type 77 there, press Enter, and that gives you the same value as well. So now there's three ways of doing it. One is to do the scatter plot, followed by regression, and just plugging in 77 and for X right there. That would be the first way. I did not do that technique, but what I did show you is I went over to the scatter plot where we typed in the data, and then I did a regression from there, then went to graph and checked out the table. Or if you do the same regression and then go to calculator, you can just type in F1 is 77. Either way, it gives you the same answer in all three places. Now you try the next.